Mr. President, the health care reform legislation that we are considering is good for America, it's good for women and for families. It's a health care reform bill. It is not an abortion bill. In fact, not a dime of taxpayer money goes to subsidize abortion coverage in this bill. It is, in fact, abortion neutral. This amendment, however, would change that. It would roll back the clock on a woman's right to choose. It unfairly singles women out and takes away benefits they already have. It singles out our daughters and legislates limits on their reproductive health, their reproductive rights. If we were to do the same to men, if we were to single out men's reproductive health in this legislation, imagine the outcry. Imagine if men were denied access to certain procedures. Imagine if they were denied access to certain prescription drugs. Imagine if the majority had to suffer the decision of the minority. But that is exactly what we are being asked to do to our daughters with this amendment, rolling back the hands of time. I personally find that offensive, as do women across this country. The language of this bill has been carefully negotiated to ensure that we are preserving a woman's right to choose, but doing so without federal funding. To claim otherwise is hypocritical and misleading. We need not fight all battles that have nothing to do with the real issue at hand, that millions of Americans don't have health insurance, and many are being forced into debt to buy coverage that insurers later deny. But now, instead, we are not only reopening long-settled debates over this issue, we are actually faced with a proposal that would turn back the clock and deny women access to reproductive health care. It is the wrong debate at the wrong time. Over the years, we have made extraordinary progress in addressing women's reproductive rights. We have debated this issue in the Senate. We have debated it in our churches, our home, our communities, and in the United States Supreme Court that has said a woman's right to choose is the law of the land. Let us not turn back the clock. I respect my friend from Nebraska's deeply held views and the deeply held views of my friend from Utah. I know we'll debate the issue again many times in many forums. They will raise their voices in protest of a woman's right to choose, as I will raise mine to protect it. But this is neither the time nor the legislative vehicle for hot-button politics to get in the way of badly needed health care reform. The language in this bill is clear. It preserves a woman's reproductive rights without any taxpayer funding. And yet we are engaged in a debate in which we are basically being told that neutrality is not good enough, that there needs to be an anti-choice bill, not a health care reform bill, that neutrality on the issue is not acceptable, that only effectively banning abortion is acceptable. Mr. President, we're not going to be dragged down that road, and the women of this country won't stand for it, and certainly this senator will not either. The sponsors claim the amendment simply reinforces existing law restricting federal funding of abortion coverage. Let's be very clear. There is no taxpayer money going to a woman's reproductive choices, none, and to say otherwise is simply wrong. The fact that this amendment clearly takes us back in time would leave our daughters with the same hopeless lack of options as their grandmothers faced, and that is not where we ought to be. This amendment would make it virtually impossible for insurance plans in the exchange to offer abortion coverage, even if a woman were to pay premiums entirely out of her own pocket. It would do so by forbidding any plan that includes abortion coverage from accepting even one subsidized customer. This amendment is nothing more than a backdoor effort to restrict rights women already have. Now, would I like to see it clearly stated in this legislation that a woman should have the right to choose and all aspects of her reproductive health should be available under every plan? Yes, I would. But am I willing to accept neutrality as a reasonable compromise for the sake of passage of a bill that will provide affordable, accessible health care to every American and not spend a dime of taxpayers' money on women's reproductive choices? I will. Under this bill, if a plan chooses to provide abortion coverage, only private funds can go towards that care. That's further than I would like to go, but it's neutrality. In this bill, in each state, there would be exchange, there would be at least one plan that covers abortion and one plan that does not. That's neutrality. It's fair. Let's accept it and move on. Under this legislation, women will keep their fundamental right to reproductive health benefits.
Senator has spoken for 5 minutes.
And gain other benefits they deserve. And that's what we should do in terms of preserving the underlying bill. Let us vote down this amendment. Let us not turn back the clock.